The U.S. crimes against Venezuela don't ever seem to take a vacation. As we even noticed, the current U.S. puppet, or probably I should say now the former U.S. puppet, Juan Guaido, has fallen out of favor with Washington. Now, Leopoldo Lopez seems to be the new right-wing puppet, leader of opposition factions inside of Venezuela, opposed to the democratically elected government of Nicolas Maduro and the Popular Socialist Party. Not only is he now the new U.S. puppet for destabilization and, frankly, overthrowing tactics inside the country, but now it has been revealed that not only does he have relationships with extreme right terrorist groups, etc., there's now links of him to narcotics traffickers and all the other very questionable elements that the U.S. allies with when they want to oust someone in Latin America. The New York Times glorified Lopez as the savior of Venezuela and essentially called him the Martin Luther King Jr. of Venezuela. You remember that time MLK was a right-wing drug trafficking death squad using psychopath that carried out U.S. imperialist interests? Yeah, neither do I. They've even, Human Rights Watch and Amnesty International, both organizations whose accusations against people can be timed along U.S. foreign policy with absolute accuracy, called him a prisoner of conscience and Venezuela's most prominent political prisoner, because drug traffickers are political prisoners, especially the ones that the United States is always wailing about as committing human rights abuses. And these organizations are wailing about having committed human rights abuses, but, you know, the guys linked to them are in support of U.S. foreign policy, so they consider him a victim. Again, I'm wasting my breath even by saying this. Now, this December, Lopez traveled to Colombia for a series of meetings and photo ops with right-wing groups inside the country. Now, he went there on a plane, registered with a Florida-based company that had sold an aircraft to a Colombian who was busted for trafficking hundreds of kilograms of cocaine in Honduras. A person of which was suspected, never proven, of having been working with the CIA at the time. And if I have to show you any evidence of connections between CIA and cocaine trafficking, then you're going to have to Google that after this, because all of that is not going to fit into this video. Now, Lopez's meetings in Colombia took place at the same time that the 86th massacre of human rights defenders in the country that year, with the 86th abuse, the killings of human rights activists out of the 290 times that it had occurred that year. So the meeting was at the same time. Here's a little bit more information. At the height of the U.S.-backed regime change attempt in 2019, Venezuelan coup leader Juan Guaido, a protege of Leopoldo Lopez, was photographed meeting with members of Los Rojos, a Colombian paramilitary involved in drug trafficking. And here is Lopez himself involved with other very questionable individuals, a man who is guilty of having connections to death squads. So, essentially, we're not seeing anything new in this situation. Those which U.S. imperialism hired to carry out their interests throughout Latin America are individuals connected to the most despicable actions that can be carried out in the entire region. Those that are connected to death squads whose job it is to murder Coca-Cola workers for wanting to go on strike, or murdering social activists who simply want, say, like a higher minimum wage or some very simple social reform that would benefit people to a large degree. And this guy is connected to those who are sent in order to kill them. But they're also supposed to be the saviors of Venezuela, those who would get rid of the tyranny of universal health care and employment and human rights. Now, many of those benefits don't even really exist right now because of the U.S. sanctions on Venezuela, which are already criminal to begin with. Any country that blocks another country from buying medical supplies is, frankly, evil. There's no excuse for that. It's absolutely despicable. And the United States has done nothing but try to blockade and sanction Venezuela as it's trying to deal with the COVID-19 outbreak, which is devastating the country. And it of course, is a typical paradox that a lot of right-wingers use. COVID-19 doesn't exist, but at the same time, COVID-19 is so bad because Venezuela's socialist, even though it's not. And COVID-19 apparently doesn't exist according to them. So that's the situation that Venezuela finds itself in right now. Juan Guaido has certainly fallen out of favor because, frankly, he sucks. In terms of someone that you use to overthrow a country and use as a puppet, he also sucks. I mean, he sucks in a very general sense, but in the immediate sense of what his job was supposed to do as a puppet of the United States, he also sucks. He is the suck. And now that he's been pushed aside for Leopoldo Lopez, it seems like this man is going to be the new one to carry on U.S. operations inside of Venezuela well into 2021.
Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.